Batman Hush is well. Let's really paint a really great story here. So Batman tracks down a missing kid. Tracks down a missing kid. He apprehends the criminal. Ransom money goes away. Turns out it's Catwoman. He encounters Catwoman. They make out for a bit, and Bruce is stunned like, oh, she kissed me. And what ensues from that moment is a great story where we see Batman. We get inside Batman's head in a way we've never really gotten inside before. We hear him talk about his relationship with not just Catwoman, but with Superman, with Robin, with Croc, Ivy, Riddler, Ra's al Ghul, um, Robin, and there's some amazing twists and turns uncovering the mystery that is Hush. And we see Batman, and I think possibly his most competent, as even taking on someone like Superman is handled in a very, very tasteful and brilliant way. This is not that story here. So, Batman Hush is one of the great Batman stories. It really is. It's one of those stories where if I find someone who says, hey, I want to get into reading Batman comics, Hush is the one that I'll probably hand you. Like, hey, well, read Hush. It's a really good story. This movie does not do that much of a service. And to be fair, going off of what's been happening in other stories that have been adapted to film, like the Court of Owls story, which was adapted to film, which came being like Batman versus Robin. I'm like, Robin has nothing to do with the Court of Owls, technically. Um, so why is there a Batman versus Robin story here? Why are those two fighting? Why? Because it's Damien. Damien's in the Court of Owls story, and he still doesn't fight Batman. That's not what the Court of Owls is about. And here we come to Hush, and I was hoping that because Hush is not as big, but it's equally important, introduces a new villain into the Batman Rogues Gallery, which your Rogues Gallery can always use one more really good villain. If you say it doesn't, you're lying to yourself. Everyone needs a new villain. That should actually be a new initiative DC's coming up with, New Villain Month. But anyway, uh, and maybe I'm a bit too hard on this movie. Maybe I am. But the problem is that because Hush is such a good story and the direction they took with this movie, it just doesn't add up. So, as I said before, what really works with Hush isn't just that it looks brilliant with art by Jim Lee. Like, I'm going to show you some of that art. It's brilliant. Look at that art. Look at this. Look at this Jim Lee goodness. Batman is ripped. Like you've probably seen this artwork before. Just like your friend's got a desktop. Like, hey, look, this is your wallpaper, right? Yeah, that's how good this art is. Look at it. Love it. What really helps sell it is the writing, is the story. Batman Hush is almost sort of noirish with how it goes. It's Batman as he uncovers the mystery of who this villain Hush is. Who's the one behind Croc? Who's the one behind Ivy? Who's the one moving all these pieces together in a way that Bruce can't quite get a hold of? It's really great to see that. And the dynamic with Bruce and Selina, I was like, it's good because you really think for a moment that it's going to work, but as you know, it probably wouldn't. But everything feels like it matters in Batman Hush. In this animated movie, it doesn't quite feel like any of it matters. Like, yeah, Hush is still there, but he's not there. Like, there's a big difference between who Hush is in the comic, who Hush is in the movie. That's all I'm going to say about it. All I'm going to say about that. And while they both do sort of make sense, at the same time, one is handled with a lot more oomph to it. And maybe one's a bit more obvious than the other if you think about it. But there's a lot more weight to everything that happens each time because, bare minimum, we're getting a lot of introspection on Bruce, a lot of internal dialogue. Like, so both of these movies will have a scene where Batman is pushed to the absolute limit and almost kills the Joker. Now, how each of these materials does it is what really separates these two. So, in the first one, what really happens is Bruce's friend is killed. His friend Thomas Elliot is killed. And Joker's believed to have done it. Batman in the animated one just starts wailing on him and wailing on him and wailing on him, and Joker's like, "Stop! I didn't really do it. It wasn't me." And that it still sort of has a similar weight to it. But compare this to the book, and in that book, not only is it the death of Thomas Elliot, but he's carrying everything else. So the shooting of Barbara Gordon in the spine, the death of Jason Todd, he processes all of that as he's fighting the Joker. So all of it just comes to a head, and it's a really, really great moment. His fight with Superman in this one doesn't have the same thing. It's relatively the same, pretty much the same. The difference is where I think the animated one overplays Bruce's competency as well as Bruce's capabilities. The comic makes it a great deal of effort to point out this is not easy. That even that it's not he's not winning just because he's Batman. He's winning because he's put the effort into it, and because he knows he can't do this forever. So he has an alternative, the real way to win, which I think is great. That is lacking in this movie. So, is there anything good about it? Well, it looks good, but when's the time we had a bad looking Batman movie or a bad looking DC movie in general? I think it's there. I think there was one, and I think my brain has blocked it from my memory. Like I remember it. It involved Green Arrow, and it was really weird art, but I can't remember the name. It was like race cars and dinosaurs and something. I don't know. It wasn't Wacky Races because that's not a thing yet. It should be a thing yet. DC should put out a Wacky Races movie. Do it. But no, that's not it. Voice acting, I think it's fine. I think the use of having they're using the same Batman voice for multiple films. They're trying to instill a certain amount of continuity to these, so we're all supposed to believe it's all happening within the same time frame, or at the very least within the same universe. This movie even mentions the reign of the Superman story. We do explore Bruce and Selina's relationship a bit more, but we don't actually explore Selina's point of view, which both the book and the movie don't do. But if you're going to change something, you might as well do that. This does sort of change their relationship a bit in a way that the book doesn't. But overall, if you are looking for a DC movie, if you're a DC animated film purist, if you say I have to watch everything DC puts out, you're gonna watch this. If you haven't read Hush, do not read Hush before you watch this movie. You will. I think it will really leave a bad taste in your mouth. I think it will. Read it afterwards. Read it afterwards. I promise you, if you read it afterwards, you'll enjoy the movie a lot more. If you read it before, you're gonna look at him like, why even make the movie? Why? At least that's how I felt. Anyway, with that, I'm bringing this video to close here. If you're new to the Debugger Thing, feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe. Check out some other videos on this channel, and I will catch you all later. This is Debugger Thing Tech signing off. Thanks for watching, and as always, may your fandom serve you well.